is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Good evening, Philippines, and good day, world. I'm Mariya Yunkina. It's Monday, the 24th of July of 2023, and you're watching Newsline World. We are here to bring you top stories we've gathered from all over the globe. First, President Bongbong Marcos Jr. held his second State of the Nation address to present what he has done so far and what more he will do for the Filipino people. Still on Monday, SONA President Marcos also promised amnesty to all rebels who will surrender to the Philippine government. A Filipino lawmaker said that the International Criminal Court should be declared persona-non-grata in the country amid its insistence to conduct an investigation over the drug war campaign of the former President Rodrigo Duterte. Russia claims that it has thwarted a drone attack on Moscow, adding that Ukraine was behind it. Thailand launches a nationwide operation against illegal firearms and drugs. These and more stories for tonight's edition of Newsline World. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. held his second State of the Nation address, or SONA, on Monday, where he received a loud round of applause as he entered the House of Plenary. Senate President Mig Zubiri and House Speaker Martin Romualdez presided over the joint session of the two chambers of Congress. In his second SONA, President Marcos first greeted Vice President Sara Duterte, former President Erap Estrada, Supreme Court Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo, and members of diplomat in the country, its cabinets and legislators. In his speech, President Marcos first talked about how the Philippines endured amid current struggles, such as inflation rate and the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. He touted the country's robust growth, citing a gross domestic product growth rate of 7.6% in 2022, the highest in more than 40 years.
While the global prospects were bleak, our economy posted a 7.6% growth in 2022, our highest growth rate in 46 years.
President Marcos also said that Philippines' economic target for the first quarter of 2023 remains the same.
For the first quarter of this year, our growth has registered at 6.4%. It remains within our target of 6 to 7% for 2023. We are still considered to be amongst the fastest growing economies in the Asian region and in the world.
The Philippine financial system also remains strong, as said by the President, and it continues to recover from the impact brought by the pandemic. The digital economy, according to the President Marcos, played a pivotal role in the recovery of the country. Marcos said this event reflects the Philippine economic revival and rejuvenation bolstered by the enabling environment and what he calls as a strong rule of law.
The digital economy contributed 2 trillion pesos, the equivalent of 9.4% of our GDP. The economy is revived and rejuvenated, backstopped by a favorable enabling environment and the strong rule of law.
For the country's inflation rate, President Marcos said it's showing signs of easing, with the Bangko Sentral anticipating further eases to hit 2.9% by 2024. The issue of the country's independent foreign policy was less discussed on President Bongbong Marcos' second State of the Nation address. But according to the President, it has great contributions to the investment values that keep on coming into the country. Hannah Jane Sancho reports.
President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. in his second State of the Nation address emphasized that his independent foreign policy is effective as it reaped investment pledges from his foreign trips. Though it was less discussed in his second State of the Nation address, the independent foreign policy of the administration was on the right track, according to the president, as it has contributed a lot to the country's economy. As a matter of fact, there are old friends and new allies that have contributed big investment value in the Philippines.
For that, we have not limited ourselves to the local economy, but we have looked to the global economy for partnerships and agreements. Our independent foreign policy, a friend to all and enemy of none, has proven effective. We have formed strategic alliances with our traditional and newfound partners in the international community. We have embarked on foreign trips to promote the interest of the country for peace building and for mutually beneficial purposes. These economic missions have yielded an estimated total investment value of 3.9 trillion pesos or 71 billion US dollars, with a potential to generate 175,000 jobs.
Over 1 trillion investment has been approved in the year of this administration, while through the green lanes, the country has earned more than 12 billion pesos.
The implementation of recent economic reforms is underway. BOI-approved investment projects have reached 1.2 trillion pesos during our first year, while other strategic investments approved for processing through the newly established green lanes amount now to 230 billion pesos. Our existing bilateral and multilateral trade agreements, notably within the ASEAN framework, and with Japan and with Europe, and allow us to leverage our competitive advantages and reap economic benefits. We will continue to forge more of these international partnerships that will lead to a more balanced trade strategy and a healthier economic position.
Currently, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, is effective and is a huge help to the import and export of the Philippines, especially to the products from the agricultural sector.
The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, is now in force. It is a multilateral trade arrangement with the ASEAN and other countries such as Australia, China, Japan, Korea, and New Zealand. We can now have competitive access to a regional market that comprises 2 billion people.
For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Hannah Jane Sancho, SMNI News.
Among the President Marcos's promise is the granting of amnesty to rebels who will surrender to the fold of the Philippine government. Let's take a look back at what the President has said earlier.
For almost half a century, some of our fellow Filipinos have taken to arms to make their views known and felt. We are now at the point in our history when their armed struggle has evolved. We have now progressed together towards peace and development. We have incorporated capacity building and social protection into our reintegration programs to guarantee full decommissioning of former combatants. Through community development and livelihood programs, the barangay development and enhanced comprehensive local integration programs have been effective in addressing the root cause of conflict in the countryside. To complete this reintegration process, I will issue a proclamation granting amnesty to rebel returnees, and I ask Congress to support me in this endeavor.
Revenge travel is a term being used for leisure travel that follows a period of being unable to travel. And according to President Marcos, this phenomenon would help propel the tourism industry of the Philippines. Here's what he said.
Our tourism has always been a reliable pillar of our economic growth through the years, providing livelihood to more than 5 million of our citizens. Because of the reopening of the economy and the phenomenon of revenge travel, this sector is headed for a great rebound. From January to June this year, we have received 3 million international visitors. This number is already 62% of our 4.8 million target for the entire year. Mga kababayan, ang lahat ng mga ginagawa natin ito ay magbibigay bunga sa libu-libong hanap buhay para sa ating mga kababayan. To create these investment opportunities, we must ensure that an enabling business environment is in place, that there is peace and order, and that the rule of law governs. We will solidify our country's reputation as an attractive and reliable investment destination. Building on institutional reforms of recent years, we have created green lanes for strategic investments and expedited the business processes in various sectors and investment modalities. A progressive and rationalized system of taxation is a component of the ease of doing business. The CREATE law has made our corporate tax and incentive schemes equitable and business-friendly. There are more structural tax reforms that must be introduced to allow us to reach our socio-economic targets.
SMNI News, along with other Philippines media practitioners, will explore the rich culture and history of Quanzhou in Fujian province of China as the most important port city of the said country along the maritime Silk Road. Let's find out more with Jason Rubrico.
SMNI News, together with other media companies from the Philippines, was given the opportunity for a World Heritage Tour in Quanzhou in Fujian Province, China. Sunday afternoon, the Philippine media delegation arrived at the Quanzhou Jinjiang International Airport after a 2-hour flight. The delegation received a warm welcome at a special banquet at a 5-star hotel in the city, hosted by the Quanzhou Overseas Friendship Association.
Sa loob ng isang linggo, ating tutuklasin ang napakayaman na kultura ng Quanzhou at ating bibisitahin ang kasaysayan ng lungsod bilang isa sa pinakamahalagang port city ng China sa Maritime Silk Road.
Quanzhou was one of the largest and busiest ports in the world during the Song and Yuan dynasties and an important exchange hub for various civilizations and religions.
You will get a better idea of what our ancestors let they make contribution to the prosperity of Quanzhou, the world emperor of the Song Yuan China. How they did it, I think it's a good idea. We learn from historical wisdom and make our community a better place to live. That's what we learned from our ancestors.
It can be remembered that on July 25, 2021, the UNESCO World Heritage Committee recognized Quanzhou as a World Heritage Site. The World Heritage Tour aims to foster cooperation between media organizations, enhance mutual understanding and friendship between people, and contribute to further developing China-Philippines relations. Dr. John Wang, consulting expert on the UNESCO Silk Road project, believes that these kinds of cultural exchanges, together with economic cooperation, will result in global peace.
I think a culture exchange and economic exchange can foster world peace. And that's the mindset of an entrepreneur. And we can make the world a better place by trade, not by war.
For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, SMNI News.
Thai police have seized a notable amount of firearms and ammunition in hundreds of individuals in a nationwide operation against illegal firearms. Anissa de Guzman reports.
Nationwide operation against illegal firearms led to the confiscation of 911 unauthorized firearms, 44,540 assorted rounds of ammunition, 6,239 methamphetamine tablets, and 2 explosives. As of July this year, Thai officers have sought out 1,658 targets across the country, netting nearly 1,000 suspects. The operation resulted in the arrest of at least 966 individuals, 911 unauthorized firearms, 44,540 assorted rounds of ammunition, and 6,239 methamphetamine tablets, to name a few. The rescue raid, which started on the 1st of July, resulted in the exchange of gunfire and the death of the prime suspect. Thailand, a country of more than 70 million people, has more than 6 million registered guns, and according to the World Population Review, the civilian gun ownership rate in the country is at 15.10 per 100 persons, which is the highest in ASEAN and the second highest in Asia. The nationwide operation focusing on illegal firearms will run until July 30, led by the Thai police and related agencies. Disha Nanisa de Guzman, Drangan Chakuntep Mahanakon, SMNI News, Pratatay, Sawadika.
Russia and China have ended their joint naval exercise in the Sea of Japan. Chatmangkong Pisamangason has the details.
The latest joint naval exercises between the Russian and Chinese navies signal deeper military ties between the two allied nations. Both Russia and China share a common desire to counter American supremacy. The latest joint naval exercises aims not only at strengthening naval cooperation between the two countries, but also to maintain stability and peace in the Asia-Pacific region. Some 20 combat exercises were carried out, including joint artillery fire on maritime, coastal, and air targets, as reported by the Army. The Russian Navy sent 2 anti-submarine ships, 2 corvettes, and auxiliary ships for the war games. Meanwhile, China and Russia organized several exercises between their armies in recent months, such as a joint air patrol over the seas of Japan and East China last month. รายงานจากราชบุรีนายชัดมงคลพิสมัยโกศล SMNI News ประเทศไทย สวัสดีครับ
The Foreign Ministry of Russia said that the Ukrainian drone attack on Moscow is an act of international terrorism. In the footage captured by CGTN correspondent Dmitry Maslak, the building that was attacked in the southeast suburb of Moscow is seen to have sustained severe damage at the top of the structure. In line with this, a Russian news agency reported that several unnamed aerial vehicles, or UAV fragments, were found in Komsomolsky Prospect in the center of the city, while another crashed into the business center in the southern part of the capital, and that there were no victims. Russian Foreign Ministry correspondent Mariya Zakharova condemned the Ukrainian drone attack on Moscow earlier on Monday, which damaged several non-residential buildings. The Russian Defense Ministry, meanwhile, said that 2 drones were eventually taken down by electronic warfare systems. According to the military of Ukraine, Russian drones destroyed a grain hangar in Odessa region. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the country will continue to supply grain to Africa despite suspending Black Sea grain deal on their end. Hans Marshall files this report.
The Ukrainian military reported on Monday that Russia launched an overnight attack with drones to destroy a grain depot in the Odessa region. Ukraine's Southern Military Command via Telegram said, "Tonight, an almost 4-hour attack by Shahed 136 drones was directed at the port infrastructure of Danube." Reports say tanks for storing other types of cargo were damaged. Furthermore, according to initial findings, 4 workers were injured, but the information is still being clarified. Last week, it can be recalled that Russia pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal, which allowed for the safe passage of Ukrainian grain. Ever since then, there has been an increase in attacks on the Odessa region. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin criticizes the Black Sea grain deal, stating it failed in its humanitarian purpose. President Vladimir Putin criticized the Black Sea grain deal, accusing Western businesses of profiting while Africa gained little. The UN-Turkey broker deal aimed to ensure global food security, but Putin claims it was exploited for enrichment. The poorest nations received less than 3% of supplies, with over 70% going to higher-income countries. Western promises to exempt Russian grain exports from sanctions were unfulfilled, hindering aid efforts. Putin assured that Russia would continue supplying grain and other goods to Africa. Russia earlier said it will no longer extend the Black Sea grain deal, saying that other parties failed to meet their part of the deal. According to Putin, in 2022 alone, Russia exported 11.5 million tons of grain to Africa. Of this number, nearly 10 million tons more were delivered in the first half of 2023. This is Hans Marshall reporting, SMNI News.
Iran launched an Air Force drill as the United States sends more warships and fighter jets to the Gulf region. Melchizedek Cadiz has the news.
Air Force personnel from Iran participated in the annual Air Force dubbed Fadayan Veliat 11, or Devotees of the Supreme Leader 11. More than 90 fighter planes, bombers, and drones would participate in the drill held at an airbase in the strategic Strait of Hormuz. The drills are held from time to time and are designed to assess the force's combat readiness and to demonstrate the nation's military capabilities. This came after the United States announced a plan to send more fighter planes, warships, and military personnel to the Middle East after Iranian forces threatened commerce in and out of the Persian Gulf. According to Pentagon, the guided missile destroyer USS Thomas Hudner and several F-35 jets will be sent to the area. It can be remembered that Iran has seized several oil tankers passing through the strategic waterway in recent months, citing concerns of legal disputes and alleged smuggling activity. Reporting this has been Melchizedek Cadiz, SMNI News, Kuwait.
Wildfires in Greece continue to worsen as authorities continue to battle a wildfire that has raged across roads for nearly a week. Jane Cognita for the details.
For 6 days, Rhodes, a popular tourist hotspot, has been battling a raging wildfire, forcing more than 19,000 tourists to flee from the island. Reports say the situation has been worsened by high winds with gusts of up to 150 kilometers per hour on Sunday afternoon, which saw the flames spread into a ferocious fire front measuring about 30 kilometers long. Meteorologists warned that more strong winds could exacerbate the wildfire and spread it further across the island, leading to even more difficult conditions as temperatures also hover around the 44 degrees Celsius mark. Greece experienced sizzling temperatures of up to 44 degrees Celsius in the last 2 days, the hottest weekend in the country in 5 decades. Meanwhile, a number of volunteers are doing their best with a limited few fire trucks and fire brigades trying to put out the fire. They were seen using makeshift means like shovels, water bottles, and whatever they have got in hand in an effort to slow the spread of the blaze in any nearby villages and communities. With thousands evacuated from roads, many sports facilities, gymnasiums, and schools were open for these people to sleep over the night. They were provided with some food, drinks, and refreshments to make sure that they can stay cool. Reporting, this has been Jane Cognita, SMNI News.
Cambodia braces for the possibility that the son of the country's current prime minister will replace him after the recent general elections. Justin Nazario reports.
Newly elected Premier General Hun Manet, the eldest son of Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen, is expected to take over as his successor 4 or 5 weeks from the time the elections took place on Sunday. Hun Sen is guaranteed to win after Sunday's general election, with his behemoth Cambodian People's Party or CPP facing no opponent, a one-sided ballot described by critics as a sham. A leadership reshuffle is expected before late August, where his 45-year-old son Hun Manet could possibly take over. Hun Manet, the commander of the Royal Cambodian Army, suspended his army duties on the 24th of April. The plan is to make him run as a parliamentary candidate in July's national elections, which would make him eligible to become prime minister. Hun Sen, the so-called Cambodia strongman who ruled the country for nearly 40 years, stressed that his son's plan to run for elections was in accordance with the Cambodian constitution and an application of his political rights. The Secretary General of the Royal Academy of Cambodia said that the possibility of General Hun Manet becoming the next prime minister is not new, as the party members have already agreed to accept him, while his father has announced his candidacy several times in public. Reporting, this is Medicine Azaria, SMNI News.
President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. requested 12 bills from the Congress during his second State of the Nation address earlier on Monday. MJ Montejar brings us the details.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. successfully delivered his second State of the Nation address or SONA. The chief executive spent 1 hour and 10 minutes outlining his plans for the upcoming months.
1 year ago today, I stood here before you, setting forth the plans that we have to improve our economy, bring jobs to our people, improve the ease of doing business, recalibrate our educational system to adapt to the new economy, lower and rationalize energy costs, boost agricultural production, enhance healthcare, and continue social programs for the poor and the vulnerable.
During his speech, SMNI News highlighted 12 bills that the President personally requested Congress to support. The bills include the essential tax measures under the medium-term fiscal framework, including VAT and digital service, amendment of the Fisheries Code, amending the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act, amendment to the Cooperative Code, new government procurement law, new government auditing code, anti-financial account scamming, the Tatak Pinoy law, the Blue Economy law, ease of paying taxes, LGU income classification, and the Philippine Immigration Act. Before the SONA, Speaker Martin Romualdez identified 9 measures from the President's 20 priority bills approved by the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council, or LEDAC, 11 of which were already approved on third and final reading in the lower house. The President's bills are well supported by the 300-plus representatives who stand firmly with the administration, while the Senate remains committed to prioritizing the quality, not just the number, of approved bills.
Makikipagtulungan tayo ng mabuti sa Kongreso para sa mga mahahalagang batas na kinakailangan para sa ating tuloy-tuloy na pag-ahon. And once again, I appeal to Congress for its support for the following priority legislations.
After his second State of the Nation address, more likely the President has added more and more bills in his priority list. But the leadership of Speaker Martin Romualdez has once said that they will work hard to make things happen. For Ganun below Philippines, MJ Mondejar, SMNI News.
The supreme leader of Iran called out Sweden and warned that the Nordic country seemed to be gearing up for war against the Muslim world by supporting perpetrators behind the latest string of Quran burning incidents in the Nordic country. Trisha Molina has the details.
Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei called for the most severe punishment for people who desecrate Quran, a religious text sacred to the Muslims. According to Khamenei, Sweden was gearing up for war against Muslims by supporting those responsible for the burning of the Holy Book, and even demanded for the Swedish government to hand over the perpetrators for them to be prosecuted in Islamic countries. Tensions concerning Quran was revived after Sweden-based Iraqi refugee Salwan Momika desecrated a copy of the Holy Book last month. On Thursday, the 20th of July, protesters stormed the Swedish embassy in Baghdad and set parts of the building on fire after Sweden allowed another planned protest that involved the burning of the Quran by the same person. The act urged the embassy to suspend its operations, while the Prime Minister of Iraq cut diplomatic ties with Sweden. Iraq also expelled Sweden's ambassador to the country and recalled its top diplomatic representative from the Nordic nation. Tensions soared further after a far-right Danish group burned a copy of the Quran in front of the Iraqi embassy in Denmark on Friday. The move caused hundreds of angry protesters to storm the heavily guarded Green Zone in Baghdad, an area hosting several foreign embassies and the seat of Iraq's government. Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian also announced the government's plan to not accept the new Swedish ambassador nor send an Iranian ambassador to Sweden until the Nordic country takes serious action over the desecration of the Holy Book. Like many Western countries, Sweden doesn't have any blasphemy laws, with a recent string of public desecrations of the Quran igniting an angry reaction in Muslim countries and raising questions about why such acts are allowed. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
China's Wang Yi proposed three-way vice foreign ministerial level talks with Japan and South Korea. Kent Hashimoto has the details.
Chinese Director of the Office of the Central Commission for Foreign Affairs Wang Yi proposed to have a three-way vice foreign ministerial level dialogue when he met with his counterpart, Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi, during their talks in Jakarta, Indonesia, last July 14th. If the plan comes to fruition, the three-way vice foreign ministerial level proposed by China will be the first in 4 years since the three countries' last trilateral summit held in Chengdu, China, last December of 2019, where the three leaders reviewed the countries' trilateral cooperation and exchanged their views regarding regional and international affairs, including the issue of North Korea. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and his South Korean counterpart President Yoon Suk-yeol has also seen the importance of holding a three-way talk with China. On the proposed three-way vice foreign ministerial level dialogue, China is expected to promote cooperation with Japanese firms in advanced technologies and attract investment, as China's economy has showed a downshift. It can be remembered that on July 14, 2023 in Jakarta, Indonesia, Director Wang Yi and Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi signed a treaty of peace and friendship between Japan and China, which has been in effect for 45 years. The treaty enshrines the commitment of both countries to peace and friendship, and it provides a foundation for bilateral exchange between China and Japan. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship Agreement between Japan and China was first signed on August 12, 1978, and came into effect on October 28 on the same year. Ijoからの橋本健人でした。SMNI News, Japan.
Heavy rains are expected to fall in South Korea this week. More of this report from Chris Jong.
Heavy rain watch has been issued in most regions of South Korea today and continue to hit the Seoul metropolitan region and the wider capital area this week.
According to the Korean Meteorological Administration, the northwestern part of Gangwon Province, South and North Chungcheong Provinces, and the western coast of South and North Jeolla Provinces will experience heavy rain, as rain clouds are slowly moving to cover the entire nation. The broader capital region will have a downpour of up to 80 mm of rain, while southern parts of Gyeonggi Province surrounding Seoul will also get up to more than 120 mm of rain until Tuesday. Meanwhile, the central city of Daejeon and southern parts of South Chungcheong Province will get 150 mm of rain, while Gwangju and South Jeolla Province will have 50 to 150 mm of rain, and the other areas will have 200 mm of rain.
The government has raised its disaster readiness alert to level 2 due to concern about damage from heavy downpours. Residents in affected areas are advised to stay safe and take precautions. Seoul, Isubugo, Chris Jong Emneda, SMNI News, South Korea.
On Monday, a lawmaker strongly criticized the International Criminal Court's intervention in the war on drugs during the Duterte's administration. Let's hear more from Carlo de la Peña.
Alam mo, yung Russia, China, America, lahat yan, hindi sila member ng ICC. Tayo nung umalis tayo sa ICC. So, hindi na tayo member, bay respetuhin nila. Dahil kung nire-respeto lang nila, Amerika, Russia o ibang bansa, Ukraine, bakit hindi nila respetuhin ng isang maliit na bansa katulad natin? Masyado ata silang one-sided. Kaya minsan nakakapiko na yung ICC na yan. Tagal ko nang, gusto ko nang matagal na magsalita tungkol sa ICC, but unfortunately ngayon lang ako nagkaroon ng pagkakataon.
Congressman Dan Fernandez, chairman of the House Committee on Public Order and Safety, candidly expressed his frustration regarding the International Criminal Court or ICC's ongoing investigation into the previous administration's war on drugs campaign. Fernandez emphasized the ICC no longer holds jurisdiction in the country.
Kasi in the first place, we have been out sa ICC a year ago. Diba sabi nila nung last year, nung umalis tayo sa ICC, magte-take effect pa raw yung ICC resolution na yan after a year. So after a year na ngayon So wala na sila talagang jurisdiction over our country.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has previously addressed the ICC, stressing that the international body's actions pose a threat to the country's sovereignty. Also, the chief executive recently said that the country is done with the ICC. To this, Congressman Fernandez reacted and said,
Dapat nga yung mga pupunta dito mga taga-ICC, persona-non-grata natin yung mga yan Dapat talaga, i-deklara natin silang persona-non-grata.
For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the message of the appointed Son of God. People of faith do not live in the present. They instead bring the future to the present. And that's all for today's edition of Newsline World. For more news and updates, you may visit SMNInewschannel.com and follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and our beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Mariya Yunkina. Thank you for watching Newsline World, and thank you to our beloved pastor, Pastor Apollo C.Q. Buloy, for opportunity to be a part of this program. May you continue to listen on SMNI as it delivers nothing but fair, truthful, and balanced news, because SMNI is your source of